He grammatike tekne, he eftike inclisis. In this lesson we'll cover what the optative or optative is. Secondly, we'll discuss three main uses of the optative: wishes, potential realities, and replacing subjunctives or indicatives in subordinate clauses. The optative or eftike is a finite mood used to express wishes, potentials, and less likely conditions or realities. It partly overlaps with the subjunctive, and in Latin there is no separate optative, there is only a subjunctive, but in Greek it expresses things that tend to be more remote. So the subjunctive indicates things that may or might be the case. The optative indicates things that may or might possibly be the case. It occurs in three main tense forms, the enestos, aioristos, and parakimenos, and it also very rarely occurs in the melon or melon parakimenos. These forms generally express aspect, not time, as we've seen with other non-indicative moods. The future optative results when transforming original future forms in indirect speech. So that's the third use of the optative, which we'll deal more fully with in a separate lecture. But that's why we don't see very melon or melon parakimenos. For the same reason you don't see very many ho melon aparamphatos or other forms. The eftike is easily recognizable, even before you learn its major forms, by the addition of an iota to the theme vowel after a stem. So anytime if you see a weird iota in your verb, it's probably an optative. It's very easy to recognize the optative long before you begin to be comfortable with them. Now, the optative of wish. The eftike can be used to express wishes for a state of affairs generally beyond the speaker's control. So whereas the subjunctive can be used to express a desire of the speaker for something they would like to be the case or would like not to be the case, either directed towards themselves or a second or a third party, the optative tends to express a wish that things would be a certain state of affairs. Positive wishes may be introduced by ite, igar, or by nothing at all. Negative wishes are introduced with me, sometimes in combination with the above. Ite me, ite igar me. So for example, me genoito. Me genoito. This is the most common optative form in the New Testament, for example. May it not be. May it not be so. Ite ho xenos eltoi. Would that the stranger come. Igar me orgizotoi holestes. If only the bandit, holestes, would not be angry. So in every case, here is an expression of something desired to be the case or not be the case, not directed towards any particular fulfillment of that, just an expression of a desire for a certain state of affairs. You can see all through these verbs, the iota marks it as the optative. The eftike can also be used to express what might, may, or should be the case. When doing so, it is accompanied by the particle an. Legoimian soitade. I would say legoimian the following, tade soi to you. I would say the following to you. Legoimian soitade. Dunaitoan anabenaitis tuto oros. Dunaitoan, someone might be able to climb this mountain. Someone should be able to climb this mountain. The third use of the optative is an optional optative in secondary sequence. Here, the optative can replace a subjunctive or an indicative when the main clause is in secondary sequence. So we need some definitions here. Primary sequence, secondary sequence. Primary sequence is any non-past referring verb. Anytime the main clause is non-past, it's in primary sequence. Secondary sequence is anytime the main verb in the main clause, is past referring. So when the main clause has a verb that's imperfect, aorist, or pluperfect, occasionally perfect, that is paratatikos, aoristos, hypersuntelikos, kai spanios, parakimenos chronos, then secondary sequence is in play. It applies to indirect statements, questions, purpose statements, conditionals, and general subjunctive clauses. So a range of subordinate clauses can take an optional optative. Not a compulsory optative, optional. Even in ADIC, it's optional. In Kone, it's fairly rare. In ADIC, it can go either way depending upon the author. We'll have examples of each of these in a separate lecture where we'll cover the full range of optional optatives in secondary sequence.